guys, I wanted to throw together a quick video just to kind of give you an update of where I'm at. This bike is about 99% done. The reason I say 99% is because I've been riding it around. I actually just rode it up to a service station to get an inspection done, which it passed, so I'm good to go to the tag office and get my tag and registration and everything for it, because I already have everything else. But what I did notice, and somebody actually commented on one of my videos, was where the kill switch is right now, which is down on the battery box itself, isn't a great place for it. Now, I wish I would have known that beforehand, but kind of a trial and error thing. It's not a great place for it, and why it's not, and I wouldn't recommend doing it on your bike, is because when you pull up to a parking space or wherever you're going, generally you're going to leave the bike in gear so that it's not going to roll when it's just sitting there. And it's really, you can't turn the bike off when it's in gear because your left hand is on, pulling in the clutch, and obviously you can't let that out when it's in gear because it'll roll. So you can't shut the bike off when it's in gear, so you have to put it in neutral, shut the bike off with your left hand, then put it in gear if you want to park. And that's just, obviously not ideal. So what I'm going to do, I ordered a handlebar mounted switch, and I'm not sure which handlebar I'm going to mount it on yet. I think the best place is going to be right here next to the clutch lever, because when this is pulled I can still reach it around these other switches. It's just like a very simple black switch that's just got a little toggle on it, and it goes around a 7/8 inch handlebar. So what I'm going to do is just take the wiring that's currently running to that kill switch, run it to the new one on the handlebar. That way I can have the clutch pulled and I can just hit that switch with either hand really, and kill the bike that way. So I'll basically have a switch in this battery box that doesn't actually do anything. I could in the future kind of wire that up to actually be able to turn on and off the headlights or something like that if I wanted to, but as of right now, it's kind of just going to be a switch that doesn't really do much, which is fine, not a big deal. Now I know in the future, next bike, just make sure to put a kill switch on the handlebar so you can turn the bike off when it's in gear. So everything else is done on the bike. It ran perfect. It shifts perfect. Idle's great. I really have no complaints whatsoever, other than that little thing with the kill switch. So that's where this bike is at. It's pretty much done. I honestly haven't decided if I'm going to keep it or not. I'll probably keep it for a little while. It's still really, really hot here in Texas. Right now it's hovering right around 100 degrees most days, and it's just pretty miserable to ride when it's this hot. So I'm either going to keep it till it cools down, or sell it and try to finish the next bike before good riding weather comes. I haven't decided yet. I do have the CX500 to work on. I have kind of a decision to make with this bike. I have a little bit of a weird situation with the title on it. I bought these two bikes from the same guy. This one has the title in his name, signed on the back. Everything should be good to go to transfer that. This bike is a little bit weird. It was owned by a lady all through the 90s, and then she passed away. Her grandson inherited the bike from her, and then he had it, and it was in basically this condition, so he never registered it in his name. He signed the title, then unfortunately he actually passed as well. So the title is in her name, actually printed on the front is in her name. It's signed on the back by him, which is obviously a different name, and then they both have unfortunately since passed. So I don't know what that transfer situation is going to be like. I don't know if it's going to be easy because, they're related and it was signed, and I have a Texas titles that's signed on the back. I don't know if that's enough to transfer. I don't know. I'm going to figure that out. I'm going to try to go to the tag office tomorrow to register this bike, and when I'm there I'm just going to take all the paperwork I have for this bike and try to do just a transfer of title. I'm not going to do a full registration on it because you require insurance, and obviously I don't necessarily need to insure this bike if it's still a very long way away from from being on the road. So I have a little bit of a situation to figure out with this bike. Worst case scenario, if I can't register this bike, I'm either going to sell it as is, and obviously disclose the issue with the title, because you could go through the process of doing a bonded title on it. I don't really feel like doing that necessarily. Or I'm going to take this motor, which if you're not familiar with CX500s is pretty unique. It's like a parallel V-twin. I believe it's the only bike Honda made, or at least the only bike pre like 1980 they made with an engine like this. So it's pretty unique. I may just take this engine and try to do something cool with it, like put it on some kind of off-road buggy go-kart kind of situation. I don't know. I have kind of options. I've never really built anything like that before, and I think it could be some pretty cool content for the channel, and certainly a learning experience. It is shaft driven, so it doesn't have a sprocket and a chain drive, so I'd have to figure out how to adapt that shaft drive, maybe use the stock differential in here, maybe get a differential out of like a four-wheeler or a golf cart or something like that, and figure out how to make a drive shaft. I mean, there would be a whole heck of a lot of things to figure out on that project, but I could have a V-twin 5-speed off-road buggy kind of thing, and I feel like that would be pretty awesome, and then I could end up selling that and probably get a lot of my money out. I'm not too worried because I got both of these bikes at a pretty good deal, so even just selling this one, I'll profit and basically got this bike for free. So I'm going to figure out something cool to do with it. I'd really love to build it into kind of a, I don't know if it's considered a bobber or what it is, but like you basically chop this rear section off, put a monoshock here, little seat kind of just floats out of the top, and you can make some really cool looking bikes out of these CXs. I'm starting to see them pop up all over the place on Instagram, and I'd really like to build it, but I obviously need to figure out the title situation before I put too much money and effort into it. I also have this CB550 sitting over here that I don't have a title for, because when I lived in Georgia, you didn't need titles for bikes older than like 85 or 86. You don't have to have titles, so I didn't have a title for this bike, and I was going to build it and sell it, but I have since moved to Texas where you do have to have a title. So I don't really know what to do with that. I'm probably just going to sell it for parts or as a project. If anybody's in Austin and is interested in that bike, let me know, because you can still do a bonded title, which isn't too bad to do in Texas. But yep, so that's kind of an update of the project. I know I've rambled on a little bit, but this bike's pretty much done, ready to go. And then hopefully tomorrow I'll have some more info on whether or not I'll be able to build this one, or if I'm going to end up doing something cool. If you guys have any cool ideas of what I can do with this motor, something to put it in or whatever, let me know. I could do some kind of ridiculous drift trike, or like I said, an off-road go-kart, buggy, shifter cart. I don't know. We can figure out something crazy to do with it. So, yep, that's the update for now, and I'll make another video once I figure out a little bit more about this bike. So, thanks for watching, guys.